I feel like I need to reintroduce myself. Baby, they are invested. Whether it's about your relationship, situationship, self-care, friendship, motherhood. Y'all think I'm extra now? You should have seen me back in the day. I actually went to school to become a news reporter, holding somebody's microphone out in the field. The dating pool had pee and Hennessy in it. It was horrible. I went and shot my shot. And until you feel like that man is serious about you, I do not want you to get your hopes up and then end up getting disappointed. Well, hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel. If you're here for the first time, my name is Shay Nicole, and I love creating videos to help elevate your confidence in style and self-care, while also dropping gems from time to time for my current and aspiring content creators. I'm so excited that you're here. Now let's get into today's vlog. But first, before we get into that, can we have a moment for my top? Can we have a moment? Let's clap, let's clap. I absolutely love the fact that it's so holiday and festive. Like, look at that. It's got all these gems on it. The back is covered in gems as well. And I'm pairing it with this headband to give you that pop of festive and holiday glam. I'm normally not a silver girl. Like, aside from my wedding ring, I don't really do silver too much. I'm a gold girl, but I don't know, it's something about the holidays. And maybe because I'm a December baby, shout out to my Sagittarius gang, I really have an appreciation for the glitz and the glam, and that's exactly what this top is giving. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but when it hits the light, especially at nighttime, girl, it gives. I don't think it's in stock right now. If it is, I'll definitely link it in the description box, okay? All right, so I wanted to do a girl talk video because I realized I haven't been on YouTube that long, but I've been here long enough where I feel like I need to reintroduce myself. I started this channel, ooh, child, hold up, I gotta see. It says I joined, wow, December 30th, 2021. That is so funny to me because, baby, I made the channel and then closed the laptop and nothing happened after that. Like, I was not really serious about YouTube. I was pregnant at the time with my daughter, and I just had this real rush and urgency to start a YouTube channel. I had just got laid off, which I'm gonna get into later because I wanna give you some about me fun facts for those of you who don't know my story. And I don't know, y'all, I was just super motivated to get this channel off the ground. So like I said, it is showing that I started the channel December 30th, 2021. And now here we are, over 140,000 subscribers later, in 2024. So I wanted to give a little bit of my journey to you all, and as well as just giving a reintroduction of my background, because obviously some of you, may know, y'all have been following me since Instagram days, or maybe you found me on TikTok, and some of you are just here because maybe you saw some of my style content on YouTube Shorts. You have no idea who this lady is. Like, we like the way she dresses, she gives us style advice, shows us where to shop, but
we don't really know who she is, and that's okay.
I am here so that we can reconnect or get connected and build a true community here on YouTube, because that's what this is about. One of the main reasons I wanted to start a YouTube channel is because I always felt like, wow, if somebody will sit here and listen to me talk for like 20 minutes or even an hour, oh, we're here. Okay, that is my girl. We like cousins, we like family. Of course, people will watch you on Instagram and over on TikTok, but if they'll sit and watch your vlog, baby, they are invested, okay? And I love that. I love that for me. I love my tribe. I love my social media family, but I need to do a better job at making sure people actually know who I am and know what I'm about, what I stand for, and all those good things. So today's gonna be like a girl talk, and also I'm gonna be giving advice. I have a broadcast channel over on Instagram where I just dropped a question box, just basically saying, I'm doing a girl talk Q&A, let me know what questions you have. And I told them they can ask anything, whether it's about your relationship, situationship, self-care, friendship, motherhood, entrepreneurship, career development, marriage, dating, home ownership, travel, finances. I said literally any topic. Go ahead and drop your question today. So we are gonna get acquainted a little bit better, and I'm gonna answer some questions, and we're just gonna continue building this community, okay? So here's a video right here I wanna show you for when I first made my channel, and this was in December of 2021, the very end of the year. And it was so funny because I was really excited and pumped up and motivated, and then I didn't post anything at all until I believe June of the next year. And by then I was around 3 or 4 months postpartum, honey. I didn't know my left from right. I was exhausted, but I was at home and I was like, you know what? With all this extra, well, I don't want to say extra free time, because with a newborn, what is that? I try to do my best to stay productive and make more content. And again, I was really tired of having imposter syndrome about YouTube. I felt like if I can build a platform on TikTok, if I can do it on Instagram, what exactly is stopping me from excelling on YouTube? And I realized it was me.
I was the problem.
And that is so relatable to so many of you watching this right now. I know that so many of us are the only thing standing in our way of our goals and our dreams. So I hope that me sharing a little bit of my journey today will inspire you and push you, child, because we're getting ready to go into another year. And I don't want whatever was holding you back in 2024 and before that, I don't want that holding you back in 2025. I just don't. I want you to push forward. So I hope that today is inspiring. So check this quick little video out of me and Gigi, where I think I had just posted my very first vlog. Wasn't that the cutest thing? Oh my God, y'all. She was so adorable. I mean, she still is adorable, okay? I'm just seeing that video. It just, I don't know, time be flying, because now she's 2 and she looks like she's 4. She's super tall. She's walking around here, bossing me around. And it's just such a big difference that has happened. Like, so much has happened in such a short amount of time. I am here to get into the deets of my journey. And again, like I said, inspire you. Okay, so before we get into our girl talk Q&A chit chat, let me give you some context and background on me. My name is Shay Regis. Nicole is my middle name. My maiden name is Moss. So if you were following me way back then, well, not too long ago, because I've only been married 4 years, but my original Instagram name was s.moss, and s.moss was like my nickname through college. People used to call me Yo Smoss or S. That was just a nickname thing, you know. So that was my Instagram name until I got married. So for years, I was operating under s.moss, not Shay Nicole XO, not Good Girls Thrift, and all the other brands that I've tried. We'll get into that later. Moving forward, I am from Newport News, Virginia, but I am a military brat. So my dad was in the Air Force, and child, we lived different places out the country. I was born in Florida, then we moved to Germany. We were stationed everywhere, child. Louisiana, we were just all over the place. But my dad ended up retiring in Virginia. So that is why I claimed Virginia as home. And when I finally settled down into high school, I got to stay at that same high school for the entire time, like all 4 years, which was super important to me because prior to that, I was literally at a new school every 1 to 2 years. Again, the military. Drop a comment below. Let me know, are you a military family or do you come from one? Do you know the struggle of having to move around to different bases? Because we are here if you do. It was a lot, but I don't regret it. I wouldn't change it for the world because it helped me to be a very well-rounded student, and it helped me learn how to make friends and be personable and know how to talk to people, because if you're moving around a lot, you're gonna have to make friends every, 6 months to a year. So that really pushed me to be more outgoing. I think I was just born this way. I think I was born very extra. I've always been over the top, and it was probably nothing for me to walk in a room and talk to kids. Knowing me, I was probably that kid. Moving around was just my life. We finally got to settle in Newport News, and I graduated in 2008 from high school, and then I ended up going to college in Richmond, Virginia, which is about an hour away from home in Newport News. So shout out to Virginia Union University, because I went to VU. That is one of the oldest HBCUs, honey. We were founded in 1865, and that is where I went to school. So Richmond is the capital of Virginia. I went to Virginia Union, or AKA VUU, and that is where life really just blossomed for me. I mean, I was so involved. I was already involved in stuff in high school. Like, I was a cheerleading captain, homecoming queen, class president. I did everything in high school. But when I got to college, it went to the next level, honey. Like, y'all think I'm extra now. You should have seen me back in the day. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I was her. I was that girl, and I got the receipts to prove it, honey. I'm not just talking. You know how some people, you meet them and they talk about like the back in the day, their old days. I call it hoop dreams. You know, people like to reminisce. But baby, I got the receipts, honey. I was that girl, okay, and still am and will forever be. My college experience was amazing. I actually went to school to become a news reporter. Can you believe that? Look at that. I thought I was gonna be reporting live, honey. I thought I was gonna be at somebody's desk or holding somebody's microphone out in the field, reporting live at 5, but God clearly had other plans for me. So I went to college to become a news reporter, and I did an internship.
Hated it, decided this was not meant for me.
I felt like it just wasn't the career path that I really needed to be walking in. Like, it wasn't my purpose. So I ended up graduating and kind of just trying to figure it out. I worked in retail. I did, some random jobs, and I was really struggling to find my path. And that's when I started working back at my alma mater, and I got into higher education as a recruiter or an admissions counselor. And that's when my life really shifted and pivoted, because after about 2 years of working in admissions, I decided I wanted to go and get my master's degree. So when I got my master's degree, this was me stepping out on faith, thinking that I wanted to be a high school counselor and maybe one day a principal, superintendent, honey. You couldn't tell me nothing. I had my eyes set on the prize. I was going to rise up and take over secondary education. Like, I don't know. I just woke up one day and was like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do it in New York City. Yes, I dropped everything, left Richmond, and moved to New York City. at the age of 24 or 25, around that, yes. So from the outside looking in, that might sound crazy. Like, girl, you did what? You just dropped everything and moved to New York City by yourself? Yes, I did. But you have to remember, I was used to moving a lot. So it was nothing to me to just drop everything and leave. Like, I know some of you watching right now have maybe never really lived anywhere else but your hometown, or the thought of leaving your family just freaks you out. It makes you anxious. But for me, outside of my immediate family, like those in my household, I didn't really see my family like that because we were always traveling. So for me, it was nothing, honey. I'll see you when I see you. I could just drop everything and go. I never really had any close attachments or like anything keeping me in one place. I was pretty much a nomad. Like, I would get up and go at the drop of a dime. I never cared about that. And I'm still like that to this day. Like, if an opportunity comes, I love Houston, love Texas down, but if a better opportunity comes, and it has to make sense, okay? Especially financially. But baby, I will drop everything and leave. Me and my family will pack it up and go. So like I was saying, I moved to New York in my early 20s, and I'm not gonna lie, y'all, it was super scary at first, just because it was, you know, big city, but it changed my life. I don't regret any of it. I feel like living in New York really shaped me and molded me into an adult. Coming out of college and not really having a true career in my really early 20s, I feel like getting into true responsibility and adulthood did not happen for me until I got to New York. And at first, I did have a little bit of a support system because my mom's whole family is from Queens, New York. Shout out to Queens. So I did get to see some of my great aunts, some distant family I hadn't seen in a while. But unfortunately, my family is like super small. It wasn't like I had like a big support system. Like, I always have this joke that me and my whole family can fit in an Uber XL, and that still is trending on being true, clearly. But anyway, back to New York. So I ended up seeing my family in Queens for a little bit, but the job that I got was in Harlem. And if you know anything about the boroughs of New York, honey, you're not gonna be going back and forth from Queens to Harlem every day forever. Eventually you're gonna get tired, and that's what happened to me. I left Queens, ended up moving to Harlem so I could be closer to my job, so I didn't have to deal with the crazy commute, especially when it came to the winter time, child. The winter is very harsh. I still have my car, I was driving, and all that wear and tear in my vehicle, I just couldn't take it driving from New York to Harlem. So I got a place in Harlem. I ended up having like 4 roommates. It was horrible, hated it, but I loved the experience of New York. I really loved my job. I was working as a high school counselor in a charter school system there, so I really adored the kids. I was only working with Black and brown youth, so if you know me, that is just my heart. Obviously, I just love serving our community. I got the kids into college. I mean, we were sending kids to like Ivy League schools and HBCUs on full ride scholarships. And then the ones who didn't get full ride scholarships, we were able to help them find some grants and other opportunities in financial aid. I mean, it was a time I really enjoyed. That's probably the best job I ever had. But the only downside was they worked you down. Like, if you've ever worked in public education, honey, you know you're gonna earn every penny of that check. And then you gonna work then more. Like, you're gonna work so much where the check just don't even really seem like it matters at that point. And I found myself at a crossroad where I'm like, the money is alright, but it ain't really adding up between all the work they got me doing. But what kept me there so long, I stayed there a little over 3 years, is the love that I have for my students. I was just so passionate, absolutely adored them. And if I could go back, I would do it all over again. So that's really where my passion for counseling and mentoring and how I just love pouring into people. I mean, I've always been like that, but it really took it to the next level when I was a high school counselor. So fast forward, the year is 2018, okay? And dating is very ghetto. I was in the dating trenches of New York, okay? The dating pool had pee and Hennessy in it. It was horrible. It was terrible, okay? And probably some hookah in there too. It was really bad. And I was scrolling one day on Instagram, and I came across a page of this guy, and I didn't know his name. His Instagram name like wasn't his real name, but I saw that he was chocolate and fine, and he had a nice beard, and he looked kind of tall, and he was a Kappa. I'm a Delta. I'm like, okay, colors, crimson and cream. I mean, he looked like he could be, you know.
With me.
I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I went and shot my shot. Not in the traditional way, though. I was a little bit more strategic. I didn't just roll up in his DMs. What I did was I followed him, okay? Because I knew he was gonna follow me back. I mean, you see the material, honey. I knew as soon as I followed this man, he gonna follow me back. He gonna go to my page. So I set myself up for success. Boop, I followed him, and then I immediately posted like a cute picture of my story. I knew he was about to go through my page because this was back in the day when, like, I don't know how it is now, but back then, honey, in 2018, if you like somebody on Instagram, you scroll through their pictures and you go all the way back and you like some old pictures, okay? You like, this was before you could like double tap this person's story, and like, I don't even know if you could reply to stories back then. Maybe you could, I don't know, but I just know before Instagram was different. The thing to do to express interest in somebody was to scroll all the way back, honey. Going all the way back to about a year prior and show them some love by tapping and liking all their pictures.
And that is exactly what that man did, okay?
Within probably an hour, he followed me back. He was watching my story and he was definitely liking my old pictures. And I was like, got him. Ladies, don't be afraid to shoot your shot. And not in the traditional way. You don't have to, you know, shoot your shot per se in like the way that you think of, which is rolling up in the DM. You don't have to do that. If you want to, cool, you can do that too. But for me, I just kind of put myself in the line of sight where I knew, okay, he's gonna see my page and make sure something's cute on my story and let me set myself up for success. And that's exactly what I did. Moving forward, we started talking a little bit in the DMs. I think that that's when the double tap feature first got released, I think, or maybe it was kind of new. Cause I remember he liked one of my stories and then he replied on something I was doing at work with the kids. So he like put LOL or something. He replied first, okay? Because don't get it twisted. He'll say that I replied first, but it was definitely him and I got the receipts to prove it. So he replied first. And then, you know, from there, we flirting around, talking back and forth. And over some time, y'all, it started getting very consistent. Like, we're talking a little bit more frequently than the average person would be, okay? There's something here. We got some chemistry going. And y'all, I realized one day, I don't know this man's name. Like, I mean, I know his Instagram name, but like, what is his name? So I gotta go back and scroll and look. I remember this one day, in the background, I don't know what he took a picture of, or was something in his house, or maybe he was cooking in the kitchen. In the background, it was like a portrait and it had Jeremiah 29:11 on it. That is my favorite scripture. And I'll put the scripture right here for you to read. And I was like, oh, what? That's my favorite scripture. And I told him that in the DM. So he responds to me. He's like, what? That's my favorite scripture. Y'all, here's the kicker, and this is how I know that God loves me. I mean, God loves you too, but this is how I know I'm one of his favorites. I'm one of his favorites. Y'all, look at this. Do y'all see that? So in case you're new here, you don't already know our love story. It's so beautiful. I had not only both of our favorite scriptures tattooed on me, because my favorite scripture is Jeremiah 29:11. His favorite scripture is Jeremiah 29:11. I had that tattooed on me already, years before I met him, okay? And remember, I see that we both have this scripture in common, but I still don't know that man's name. Because again, I just know his Instagram name. We've been flirting a little bit. Do y'all know what this man's name was? Guess.
Jeremiah.
Yes. The man's name is Jeremiah. Isn't God funny? Doesn't God have an amazing sense of humor? Like, what are the chances? What are the odds that I had my husband's name tattooed on me years before I met him? I didn't meet this man until 2018, and that is his name, Jeremiah. Can't even make up a better love story. Like, how beautiful is that? So from there, he tells me in the DM, again, I got the receipts right here. He tells me, so I guess that means we're getting married. And lo and behold, he was right. We ended up dating long distance. He was living in Houston. I was living in New York. We dated for a little over a year and a half. And then he proposed to me. Yes, he did. And we ended up getting married. And it did not take long. Let me tell you something. When a man knows, he knows. All right? That's a different story for a different day. Because I want you to know, I'm not going to say it has to be that fast, because we were a little bit unconventional and not traditional. We dated long distance for about 9 months, and then I ended up moving to Texas. We moved in together before we even got engaged. I think we lived together April of 2019, and then he proposed November 2019. So we dated long distance for 9 months, and then we lived together for 7 months, and then he proposed. So again, when you know, you know. And one of the beautiful things, and one of my most favorite things about my love story with Jeremiah, is that I did not know he actually asked my dad for my hand in marriage long before we even moved in together. Like, he told my daddy very early on that that's my wife. I'm going to marry her. I'm going to treat your daughter right. I would love your blessing. Like, that is just so crazy to me, because I didn't find that out until years later. And fun fact, both me and Jeremiah's parents are pastors. Like, both our dads have been pastors for years. Well, they're both retired pastors now, but they still actively preach. They just are no longer, you know, heads of their own church. And we just had so much in common. Like, we both went to HBCUs in Virginia. He went to Norfolk State. The fact that, you know, he's from Queens. My whole family's from Queens. He was living in Texas at the time, but before that, born and raised in Queens, I was living in New York. And I love how intentional God is. And that's why this scripture would just go down in history for me and just means so much to me and my husband, because we know that he has a plan for all of us. And he showed that plan more than ever when he brought us together. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that journey with you in case you're new here. You didn't know how me and Jeremiah met. Yes, we met on Instagram. I did the first move, but he followed through. And yes, I did have his name tattooed on me before we met. And both of our parents have so much in common. We have so much in common. I love that man, and I'm so blessed to be able to share life with him. So fast forward, we ended up getting married in COVID 2020, August 2020, August 12th. And our dads did the ceremony. It was literally just 6 of us. It was our moms, our dads, and us. We did it in a little gazebo in a local park by our apartment in Houston. And then we had our bigger ceremony later on in February 2021. So we have 2 anniversary dates. But I just claim August 12th because that was like when we actually, you know, had our marriage license done and actually got married in our private ceremony. And then like the public turn up and everything with all of our friends, because, you know, COVID was still happening. We did that later on, February 15, 2021. 2 very important dates, but again, I claim August. So moving forward, everything was going well. Even with COVID, I mean, it was a lot. The transition was kind of heavy, not being able to travel anymore, because me and my baby love to travel, child. That was just one of the things that brought us so close together. We had that in common. Being that we weren't able to travel, we decided to just invest in ourselves and pour into ourselves. So we both got very heavy into our side hustles. Him and one of his frat brothers started a men's grooming brand. It's called Sauce. I'll put the page right here for you. And this is a grooming lifestyle brand for men, specifically for Black men who need to take better care of their hair and their beards, because as we know, there are not a lot of Black owned products that are specifically catered towards Black men when it comes to grooming. So he started that. And then, baby, that's when my empire really started, honey. I started Good Girls Thrift right here. I started with 0 followers, grew the page from that to over 100,000 in just that 1 year of 2020. And that's when I decided I'm probably gonna leave the school system. I just don't know when. Like, I knew at that point, once my brand started to take off, that I wanted to do it full time. But I was really scared to step out on faith. You know, with the pandemic, it just was a very odd time. It was one of those things where it was a lot of uncertainties, and with the economy and just not knowing what was gonna happen, I wanted to hold on to my job security. But over time, I really felt this urge, and I knew it was God telling me, you need to step out on faith. But I kept showing up for my audience. I kept making content and still trying to fulfill my position working in tech ed, because at that point I had left the traditional school counseling position, like in person, and I moved over to working in tech. And I was working for a startup company doing program management for educational certificates, and, you know, people who wanted to become like software engineers and other tech jobs. There were like 6 to 9 week boot camp programs, and I was over that sector, like helping these adult learners get through their program. So I really loved my job. It was fully remote, which was perfect because, you know, when the pandemic hit, most people went remote anyway, but by then I was already working remote since I moved to Texas. So yeah, I started working in tech, and I absolutely loved it. Everything was going well with me trying to balance my tech job while also balancing my brand. Good Girls Thrift was about me showing up for my audience and showing them that, like, hey, you don't need a lot of money to style yourself. Like, the pandemic is happening. A lot of people are you know, saving their money and penny pinching, and the economy is just out of whack right now. We don't need to spend a lot of money to look good, okay? I was the bougie on a budget queen. I was doing thrift hauls all the time because at that point, it wasn't really a lot of stores open. Thrift stores were open, that was it. So I was going into thrift stores. I was repurposing things in my closet. I would also host webinars, you know, helping women to like find their personal style and maybe start their own brand. I was doing mentorship on Zoom. Like, I was doing a lot, y'all. Like, it was a whole lot, but it was very fulfilling. And one of the best things about Good Girls Thrift was seeing me be able to turn like nothing into something. I will go into a thrift store and find, you know, like this video here on the screen, find these very cheap pieces of clothes that have been discarded and seen as trash, and I was able to turn it into treasure. Like, that was what I specialized in, creating looks out of nothing. And I inspired so many women to do the same. And over time, it really started to grow, y'all. I was doing live sales while I was starting to sell the things that I found in thrift stores because, ooh, child, I started getting overwhelmed. This was back when we were in our apartment. So here's a picture here where I'm packing up stuff These are all the boxes. This would be like a typical day after a live sale for me. I would have all these boxes and I would be shipping it to my customers. And they would stay on Instagram Live for hours and shop for me. I mean, from clothing to shoes to accessories, you name it, I would thrift it. And they would buy it from my Instagram Live and I would pack it up and ship it out the next day. Like, I had a really, really quick turnaround time. I also was, you know, selling things on Poshmark from my personal closet. Shameless plug, if in case you're new here, here's my link to my Poshmark right here. I still sell things from my personal closet to this day. I just don't, you know, go live anymore to do sales anymore. I still go live on Instagram and TikTok, but before it was like me going live to sell things. Now I just go live for like girl talk and to give advice and stuff. But this was like my first successful brand. Like, it took off and I didn't expect it to. Okay, I had so many memes of myself that would go viral. Like here, this graduation gown that I found for like 50 cents at a thrift store. It was graduation season at the time in May of 2020, or no, was it 2020? Yeah, or 2021. One of those. And I ended up just like upcycling it and making it look cute, and that went viral. And then I ended up on Good Morning America, not in person because it was still COVID, but I did a virtual interview with Good Morning America, and they wanted to learn more about my thrifting and styling and being a sustainable brand. I mean, it was just more than I ever anticipated. And then I ended up getting pregnant. Yeah, we got pregnant with Gigi. And then things just took a sharp turn left, okay? When I got laid off at 6 months pregnant. And it was devastating because Jeremiah and I were literally a couple of weeks from closing on our house. Like, I wanna say we were less than 3 weeks. And if you know anything about home ownership, you know anything about that process, child, when you are right there at the end, you're so close to the finish line, you can taste it. That is when they are going over all of your statements, your bank statements. They're combing through everything with a fine tooth comb, honey. They are trying to make sure that all your stuff is in order. And one of the things they have to do is call to verify to make sure you got a job. And baby, they couldn't do that because I just got laid off. So I was freaking out. I didn't know what I was gonna do. My husband and I, like, we just started praying on it, and I felt God tell me, like, you need to reach out to the CEO. And I was like, Lord, is that you, or is that me talking? Like, what? And I told Jeremiah, I was like, I think God wants me to message the CEO. And he was like, okay, go ahead and do it. Like, that's one thing about Jeremiah, baby. He is just on go. Like, whatever I say, whatever I suggest, I mean, within reason, obviously, because we have a checks and balances, right, in our marriage. I can't do anything, but usually when I have an idea, he's like, okay, let's do it. Like, I can come home tomorrow and say, I want to start selling peacocks. Baby, he might just take me down to the zoo and ask how much they are. That is how supportive that man is of me. So anyway, I ended up messaging the CEO right on LinkedIn. Mind you, I don't know why I didn't email him. Oh, I didn't email him because they shut my email off. I got laid off, let's say at 10 in the morning. HR pulled us into a virtual room. It wasn't just me, it was like my whole department. But one by one, we're in this virtual waiting room in Zoom, and one by one, they laid us off, and they said it was effective immediately, child. So boop, boop, we was done. Cut off. Couldn't get into our email. We were locked out of Slack. That's like our, you know, instant messaging portal. We lost access to everything. So that's why I didn't email the CEO. I had to send him a DM on LinkedIn. So I'm not gonna put the company on blast because, you know, a lot of companies were laying people off back then. But yeah, I messaged the CEO and I was like, hey, I don't know if you're gonna see this message, but my name is Shay. I'm a program manager in this department, and I just got laid off, and this is devastating because I'm a first generation homeowner, or I'm so close to being a first generation homeowner. And girl, I gave him my life story. You hear me? I laid it all out on the table because I had nothing to lose at that point. Like, the only thing I have to lose is my house, okay? Because we were so close to getting it. When you're so close to closing on your house, again, they're going through all your paperwork. So once they find out you ain't got no job, or one of you doesn't have a job, you would have to start the process all over because we got approved for our home based on both of our incomes. So to give you more context, in case you're not familiar with the process, that is why it was such a big deal that I needed to have a job. I needed to have the job that I said I had when the process started months ago, okay? So I laid my burdens down on the table, child. I prayed on it. Me and Jeremiah, we prayed on it. I wrote this message to the CEO, and I was like, this is so devastating. If you could please just extend me, put me on a contract, just let me stay for one more month until we get this house. I will just be so appreciative and indebted forever. Girl, I gave him all I had, okay? I pressed in on the button and I closed my laptop. And do y'all know that man messaged me back within like 30 minutes? And he was like, oh, absolutely. And he was like, here, send me an email here. I sent an email at that address. And then he tagged in like the head of HR. He copied a bunch of people and was like, get her stuff set back up. Make sure you reinstall her system, her email, and her end date will be this. And it was 30 days, y'all. He gave me 30 days. Mind you, I only needed about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, okay? That man gave me an extra 30 days because he knew the layoff was gonna happen regardless. Like, it was set in stone. My department was getting all the chopping block. There was nothing he could do about that, right? But the way that that man just heard me, I know that was nothing but God. I know that God touched his heart, and I know that that was God responding to me. Like, all the things that Jeremiah and I had worked for, all the prayers we had sent up, all the good seeds that we sowed, it came back to us 10 times fold, y'all. And I'm here to tell you that God is an awesome God. Okay, that is one of my biggest testimonies. Besides my tattoo testimony, that's one of my other biggest testimonies in life. The fact that we were able to get our home, our first home, which is what you see now, all because the Lord told me, send that man a DM. Okay, look at that. Look, you see how DMs work? I got the DMs, got me my husband, look, and the DMs got me this house. Come on, y'all see the trend? That's a word. Ooh, I'm so long-winded, y'all. I'm sorry. Let me speed up this story because I want to get to the Q&A girl talk. So moving forward, we got the house. We ended up getting in the house. I think we closed on the house in like 9 days. So child, I didn't need them 30 days. I kind of went ahead and quit before the 30 days was up, child. I won't about to do no extra work. Y'all already laid me off and told me to ship my laptop back. So don't ask me to do no extra work for 30 days. I got the house. I was out of there. And from there, I stepped out on faith and I went full time with my brand. And I decided to transition. Since I was pregnant, I didn't want to just solely stay in this box of like the reselling world and the fashion and, you know, sustainable world. I didn't want to just stay there and thrifting. So I ended up using my personal page, which used to be s.moss. And then I ended up changing it to Shay Regis. At one point it was called Good Girls Finish First. I had a bunch of different names for it. But now it's called Shay Nicole XO. That's what you see today because, you know, I'm Shay Nicole. Nicole's my middle name. And the only reason I had to add the XO is because Shay Nicole was taken. And like every variation of Shay Nicole was taken. I guess it's a popular name, so whatever. But yeah, I started to pour into my personal brand. And that is when I saw just a huge shift. Like, I knew that people were interested in my style, clothing, thrifting, and all that. But the way people were so like invested in my love story and us having our daughter Genesis, my baby Gigi, and just all the beauty of showing a healthy Black marriage and a young couple who loves God and is trying to do the right thing and loves to help people, loves to help their community. I really think that Jeremiah and I became like a beacon of hope and light for so many people, especially our community. So I'm just so elated and blessed that, you know, that small mustard seed of faith that I had to like step out on faith, and really it's not even a small thing because that was big. Like that, I could have easily just decided I'm gonna go back to work. Like, yes, I was pregnant at the time, and I didn't really feel like doing job interviews, but I could have easily been like, you know what, I'm just gonna suck it up, finish this out, go on my maternity leave where Jeremiah is, you know, handling the bills and everything, then I'm gonna go back to work. But do y'all know that God blessed me to make more money in my first year of business? Like literally, as I was pregnant in the beginning of 2022, I gave birth in March, and then that became like my first full year of business. I made more money that first year than my entire salary of the job last year. I think I over doubled it now that I think about it, which is just crazy because I had no experience in entrepreneurship, no real idea what I was doing. The only thing I really knew how to do was show up and serve my audience and pour into my community, whether it's style, whether it's giving advice, whether it's having girls talk like this, whether it's just making like funny videos, you know, whatever I felt like doing, I just showed up authentically and I just made sure that I stayed myself and I made sure that I stayed consistent. And here we are now in 2024, okay? 4 years from when the pandemic started, and I have a whole lifestyle brand. Like I have 3 different platforms. We have Instagram, we have TikTok, we have YouTube. We have 4. We have LTK. I have a team now. I have a full-time video editor. I have 2 assistants. It's just so crazy to think what God has done. And I don't even think that it's crazy. I think that it's alignment, and it goes back to right here, y'all, on the screen, you see it, Jeremiah 29:11. Okay, because God had a plan for me, and I hope that this all inspires you to know God also has a plan for you. So I know that that was like a quick summary, and I can't really give all the details of like every step of the way, all the highs and lows I went through, because child, I definitely went through some highs and lows. I do have some past videos that you can obviously watch where I've talked more about like the knit and grit of my business and my brand, but I don't really want this to be solely about business. Of course, I'm going to do the Q&A and there are going to be questions about content and stuff, but I just wanted to give you like an overall kind of high level view of my life and my journey over the past 4 years, really 5-6 years. Just to kind of give you a little bit more of me and to show you, yes, I do love to get dressed up and give you style inspo, but I'm also human. I also love my community. I love to help. I love to pour into the girls and the guys too, if you're a guy watching this. And I really believe that this is my purpose. No, I didn't become that TV journalist or, that news reporter I thought I was gonna be. But I did something even more special and better, and that was me walking in my purpose and fulfilling my calling to pour into others. I'm just doing it on the internet, and that's awesome because I can reach so many more people on the internet than I can in person, right? Okay, so that is my quick spill about me. And currently, I am, full-time making videos. Just to reiterate, I make videos here on YouTube, I make short form content, and I do brand collaborations on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm also on the Sephora squad. I made the Sephora squad back in 2023. And then I got asked to be a mentor this year in 2024 for the new squad, which is gonna be for 2025. So I'll be on the Sephora squad again. And I'm back in my counselor bag, put my counselor hat back on. I'll be serving the Sephora squad as a mentor for the 2025 squad. And I'm just so blessed to be able to get paid to do what I love every day. And I'm just so thankful that I can show my daughter, because she's gonna grow up and see mommy living her best life, living her dream, traveling, doing everything she said she was gonna do. I'm so excited that I never settled, that I kept going, and that I kept my faith in God first. And He has rewarded me with a life that I could never have even dreamed of. And that is why every video, every chance I get, every speech, every TED Talk I do, child, I'm gonna give Him the glory, because without Him, none of this exists and none of this would ever matter, okay? So that does it for the get to know me portion, a little bit about me in case you're new here. And now let's get into some girl talk Q&A from my broadcast channel. And if you're not already a member, this is what it looks like over on Instagram. If you look at my page, it says Good Girl Tribe, and that is where you just click the little button and you can join for free. And this is where I just drop questions and I put Q&A boxes. I give tips and advice and I just pop in. It's like a community channel where I'm talking to my Good Girl Tribe. I also drop links in there, give style suggestions, and just all kind of things, okay? It's just a place for me to gather with my girls. So this is where the questions are coming from, and let's begin. Whew, y'all, life be lifing. Okay, so I think I cut that video off right before I was about to do a Q&A. And per usual, my schedule's all over the place. I forgot it was Thursday and I needed to take Gigi to ballet class. She has ballet every Thursday and we cannot miss that or she will be very upset, honey. Went to toddler ballet, and also it's my dad's birthday. Happy birthday to him. He just turned 63 today. So went to ballet, went to dinner, then got back home, started taking off my makeup, getting ready to do my skincare, and I was like, wait a minute, I think I'm supposed to be doing something. And that's when I realized I didn't even finish my video. So before I fully finished my skincare, I decided to pour me up a little glass of wine, treat my under eyes, and go ahead and get into this Q&A, honey, because again, life be lifing, but we can't let it stop the show, okay? The vlog must go on. All right, y'all, question number one. Oh, hold on, let me get a little sip, honey.
Ooh, that's some good Merlot, honey. I love a good red wine.
Question number one, again, these are all coming from my broadcast channel over on Instagram. It says, what did you do in your single season to prepare for marriage? Ooh, honey, that is a hot topic. I feel like there is so much content across the internet about how you should carry yourself, things that you should be doing. And I used to make some content about this, and I still do from time to time. But I always err on the side of caution with giving advice to my single ladies. I want to make sure it's very intentional and always authentic. And to be honest, I feel like a lot of the advice on the internet comes across very judgy, very pick-me-ish, especially like that femininity, like high value woman type of content. Oh, I hate it, child. Oh, it just really pisses me off. I never want to come across, like I said, judgy or pick-me-ish, but I do be wanting to give the girls, the gems, my truth based on my personal experience. So this is a very loaded question because I was single for quite some time before I met my husband. And one of the things I can tell you is I didn't do everything right, okay? Like I was in situationships, I was all over the place. Like, my 20s was a wild time. And I actually encourage you to date. Like, if you have the mental capacity, because Lord knows it takes a lot to be in a space where you're even open to dating, especially if you've been hurt in the past. Sometimes we just don't really want to be vulnerable with someone, or you rather just not go down that road. So I'll address both sides. I will address the single ladies watching this who are ready to date and ready to mingle versus the single ladies who are just like, I don't have time for that. I'm just not in the headspace for that. I want to talk to both of you. So first, let me talk to my ladies who are single and ready to mingle. One of the things I was very adamant about when I was single was I'm going to date and I'm going to do it my way. No, it wasn't always the right way, but I never wanted to put all my eggs in one basket. I did that a lot in my early 20s and I almost always regretted it, okay? And what I mean by that is, of course, if you are in a monogamous relationship where both have decided, okay, we only want to exclusively date each other, that's one thing. But I found myself in my early 20s always being the one that was very ready to be exclusive and ready to be monogamous. And I don't think the other person, well, I thought at the time, but then later on it was revealed the other person was only saying those things because they wanted to appease me. And a lot of times young men, well, really men of all ages, you know, depending on where they are mentally, a lot of men will come across faithful and wanting to be exclusive to you, but in reality, they're gonna say whatever because they don't want to lose you, while they also want their cake and eat it too. I mean, that's just how it is, unfortunately. But the good news is, I feel like how you can counteract that, and it's really hard because as women, we're emotional creatures, I totally understand, but try not to put all your eggs in one basket. Try your best to look at dating as, I hate to say it, but like a sport. Like, it sounds really bad because nobody wants to play games, and I totally understand, but honestly, I'm sorry y'all, these eye patches, like I'm just trying these out for the first time. I'm used to my other ones that just stick, and these are like made of this material that has like this aloe in it. And they're just like slipping and sliding down my face. So sorry, I'm trying to adjust them. But anyway, if you find yourself, you know, really liking a person and you have that conversation, because it's going to come up, about are you two going to be exclusive, you know, just focus on each other. And the person either hesitates or they don't give you the same type of energy, or you just have that discernment that just something isn't right. They're probably talking to other people. You need to talk to other people too. And I'm telling you that you're going to save yourself a world of heartache if you decide you're going to actually date, meaning that you're going to focus on yourself while also getting to know multiple people. And that does not mean you got to sleep with all these people. I'm not saying that. If you decide to do that, that's your prerogative. I'm not here to judge. But this just means that you may go on a little, you know, coffee date with this person. You might go to a book club or something, I don't know, a poetry night with this person. You might want to go dinner with that person, go to a movie, go on a walk with that person. Or maybe it's just two people, I don't know. The point is, one of my biggest pieces of advice, if you are single and ready to mingle, do not get so caught up in thinking that every person that you date is going to be your husband. Like, don't pour all your eggs and all your energy and time into this basket, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to regret it. And that's just like a mathematics thing. Like, unfortunately, when you think about statistically, like if you are a Black woman watching this or a woman of color, then you already know statistically there's more of us than them. And when I say more of us, I mean, I right now can name probably 10, 15, probably even 20 single, successful Black women that I know personally who are ready to be married or want or desire marriage, but they are not able to find a spouse, or their spouse has not found them, you know? And at the same time, my husband, who's a pretty successful guy, okay, not to toot his own horn, but yeah, he is, and him and his friends, they're all either married, engaged, or if they're not, if they're in their single season, it is by choice. It is because they simply are not ready. They literally had the option. And not to say that we don't have options as well, because we do, but I find that it is just, again, mathematically speaking, when you look at the numbers, there will always be more successful and single women than men. And when men decide that they do want to settle down, honey, they be having the pick of the litter. They can choose and pick and choose, and women will just be lined up. And that is the unfortunate part about this. Like, women oftentimes end up just in that waiting phase for so long, while men can decide that they want to, you know, live their lives and focus on them and build up their empire. And then when they're ready to settle down, quote unquote, they can do so, and someone will be waiting. And I hate that for us. I hate that for us so bad, which is why I want you watching this right now to get on your grind and focus on yourself. And if you are ready to mingle, if you are ready to get out there and date, do not put all your eggs in one basket until you know, until you discern, until you can feel like, okay, this is my person, or at least they are making an effort in showing you. And by showing you, I mean, you have like full-blown receipts. And I'm not talking about words, because all men can do this. All men can talk, okay? I'm talking about he is showing up and proving to you that he is serious about creating a future and settling down with you. And I actually hate the term settled down. Fun fact, like I feel like it has a negative connotation, because baby, we're never settling, okay? Even though I'm married, got my baby and everything, nope, we're not settling, okay? My husband and I, we are always coming up. We're always on the glow up, okay? So we got to find another term for that. We're not settling down, but we found our person. We found our reason, as we like to say. And until you feel like that man is serious about you, I do not want you to get your hopes up and then end up getting disappointed. I want you to put yourself on such a high pedestal that that man has to work to prove himself. That man has to do everything in his power to let you know he's serious. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't have to take him serious. I'm not saying that, because obviously if it's a man that's worth your time, absolutely, you can definitely pour back into him. But don't pour and pour and pour to the point where you're left empty, sis, okay? Now, that's my advice for the ladies who are ready to date and be out there and mingle, okay? Don't focus solely on one person unless you just want to, no judgment here. But if you do, don't get your hopes up. Make sure that that man is proving that he is worth your time and effort. Now, on the other side, for my ladies who are single and they're not ready to mingle, and really this advice can go for both sides, but for you, I want you to get invested in yourself, honey. I want you to be full on blown, like you're dating yourself. Like you are taking yourself out to the movies. You are taking yourself shopping. You are taking yourself on all kind of self-care adventures. And I want you to solely be focused on getting to know yourself so well that by the time you are ready to date and step out there and mingle, your standards are so high, like not unrealistically high to the point where nobody can talk to you, but you've treated yourself so well that you will instantly recognize a red flag of someone who's just not up to your standard, and you'll shut it down. And that's not to be confused with understanding like conflict resolution, because you do need that, especially for my ladies who want to be a wife. Like you do need to know how to recognize when you're uncomfortable with something and know how to communicate that and have good conflict resolution skills. Like that's a part of just basic communication in any relationship. But you need to find that sweet spot of a balance where you're not putting up with any mess that's going to jeopardize you compromising your self-worth. Like that's just that. And I want you to remember this, because as you're dating yourself, you need to figure out what are your true likes and dislikes. Like I find that sometimes in dating, and I know I may be all over the place, y'all, but walk with me. I'm going to circle back. I find that sometimes in dating, women will compromise the things that they like, the things that they truly want, desire, and they'll find themselves having likes and wants that the man does. Like you might never have liked sports before, and all of a sudden you're going to all these games and you're buying tickets to this and you're watching ESPN. You don't watch your shows anymore. You've never watched horror movies before, but now that's your favorite genre. And that's okay if it's like you're being exposed to new things and you're starting to like it because you genuinely are just, into it now. But if you find yourself conforming for a man, that's not your man. If you find yourself literally changing everything that you like just to fit what they like, or the mold of yourself is not recognizable anymore, honey, that's not your husband. I want you to focus on building yourself up to the point where you literally have your own hobbies, your own interests, and things that you're just not gonna fold on. If you're a world traveler, honey, if you like to do solo travel or even local travel, or if you like to go out and have a good time, if you're a social butterfly, I don't want you to meet an introvert of a man that likes to sit on the couch and do nothing, and then all of a sudden you become an introvert. Like, make it make sense. I don't want you to all of a sudden, go from being the star of the room when you walk in, you light up the room, you love to dance, you love to talk, you love to be social, and because you're dating somebody and you feel like, oh, they don't like someone that is, very vivacious and loud and loves to be the center of attention, because they don't like all that, all of a sudden you become a mute. No, honey, if you are the star of the show, if you are the Beyonce, then be that. You know what I'm saying? And that's, an extreme example, but that's just one of many things that I notice about women when it comes to dating. Either they put all their eggs in one basket and they end up getting their hopes up and they end up getting let down, or they spend time alone, but they don't do intentional time alone. Like they don't take self-care serious. They don't really put a lot of effort into intentionally getting into self-care and learning what are the things I like and don't like. What are my boundaries? What are my deal breakers? Like if you're gonna be single, you need to be intentional about that time. You need to be so intentional to the point where when you do start dating, can't nobody bring no BS to your front door. Can't nobody even trick you out of your position, trick you out of knowing your worth, and make you feel feel any type of way, because you will be so secure and confident in who you are as a woman, a single woman, that no man can come along and devalue you. And that to me is the true definition of how to have a single season. And again, there's no right or wrong to this. This is more so a combination of things that I did and didn't do but wish I did. Another piece of advice I have for my ladies who are in their single season is you need to get your money up, hun. You need to get your bag, sis. You need to be focused on multiplying what you already have. Because let me tell you something, if you want to be a wife, one of the things I love about marriage is that when it comes to a good woman, she just knows how to multiply. Like whatever the man brings to the table, she just makes it bigger and better. And when I say focus on your bag, it doesn't solely have to be monetarily. It can just be other things about finances, like learning how to budget, learning how to make sure that you keep your credit score up. Or if your credit score is low right now, you're working to get it up. You know, starting to bring down your debt to income ratio, because one day you want to become a homeowner if you're not already one. And if you're already a homeowner, you want to go get a nicer house, a bigger house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want you to learn how to live below your means, so that way when you do become a wife, and if you do want to become a mother someday, you know how to like run a tight ship. Because a lot of people get it twisted and think that men are the better ones when it comes to finances, but usually it's the woman. Usually it's the woman who knows where every dollar coming in and out is. Like, that's one thing I really appreciate about my girls, about my circle. We are so intentional and serious about making sure not only do we understand finances, but God forbid something happens in case of an emergency. Let's say that our partners are not able to speak. What if they're hospitalized? You know, God forbid something happens and they get sick. We can continue to run the household. We don't need our men. Oh, we love our men, of course. You know, we are so happy to be in these healthy relationships. You know, me and my friends that are married, like, we love that about it. It's amazing. However, we are so secure and confident in who we are as women, baby, we can run the household with or without a man. And that's the type of mindset I want you to have in your single season. I want you to start preparing now as if you were already a wife. I want you to start learning how to budget. I want you to make sure that you have not only a savings account, but you need to start researching on how to invest, okay? And it doesn't have to be something major. You can open up a Robinhood account. You can open up a Fidelity account. There's so many ways to get started with investing, and there's so much free information on the internet, y'all. There's no excuse, okay? I know that stocks and bonds and all these things can sound very intimidating. I totally understand. But at the end of the day, baby, if you want to learn how to do a new hairstyle, you're going to hop on TikTok. If you want to get some information on them bundles, you're going to go on YouTube. So it's no reason why you can't learn about stocks and basic investing by hopping on TikTok or YouTube, okay? It's no excuse. So your bottom line should be that by the time you meet that man of your dreams, baby, you are already, if not secure financially, you are on the road to getting secure. The worst thing can happen is two broke people with no ambition and no knowledge of finances, no knowledge of how to budget, get together and have kids. And I'm gonna keep it very, very real with you. I hate to see that in our community. In any community, but especially ours, because then you become another statistic. What we don't want is for two people to get together and your credit's messed up, his credit messed up. You ain't got no sense of how to do no type of spreadsheet, budget, looking at the accounts, credit's all messed up, credit cards is all maxed out, or you don't even qualify for a credit card. I mean, we cannot have that, because then you're just continuing the generational trauma, okay, the generational curse, or you're starting it. And we can't have that, okay? Your children don't deserve that. Your future children, or if you don't want to become a mom, it doesn't matter. You don't want to be the type of person that cannot multiply, because a good woman multiplies anything she touches, okay? That was a very long-winded answer, and I feel like that might need to be a separate video for a different day, because I could go on and on and on about the things that I did when I was single, but I don't really want to get too deep into that now, because again, we'll be here all night. But I also wanted to, you know, give you a little bit of some of the things that I did do, while also giving you some of the things that I wish I would have done. And let me know in the comments if you want more of a deeper dive on things you should be doing or you can be doing while you're single, because clearly I could talk about that all day. All right, enough about that though. Let's get to the next question. Okay, this is a good question. I feel like we should go a little personal, a little business, personal business, like go back and forth. So the first one was like a personal question about, you know, marriage, romance. This one is more on business. So this says, what tips do you have on getting invited to brand trips? Are they solely through your management agency? Or do you get put on lists? Are there apps for this? Please help me. This is a really good question. So when it comes to brand trips, every brand trip I've personally been on ever, I was invited. And that's simply because normally you don't really know when a brand is having a trip. they kind of plan it, on the back end on their own. And when a company is ready to pull together their list, normally they already have the influencers in mind that they want on that trip, and they'll have like a backup list in case some of those influencers can't come, right? So they'll have like their main list of invites and then backup people for like a just in case last minute fill spot. And also it sometimes has to do with vicinity, because there have been a lot of trips where I did not get invited, and maybe it wasn't even far. Maybe it was like a brand event, it was local, like New York City or LA. A lot of times it would be proximity. So let's say there's something going on in like San Francisco, and there's a brand that would love to have me, but there's an influencer that is very similar to my style of content and they are living in LA. Well, is it easier for the influencer who's already in California to come? Probably, versus me. So sometimes it's just a proximity thing where they will invite people in the area. But if it's a trip, like where they're flying you out, then they're not gonna care. You know what I'm saying? Like normally, if it's something that is pre-planned, especially when it comes to Sephora Squad, because I'm always on a trip with Sephora, I was flown out no matter what. Like it didn't matter where I lived. Like there's people on the Sephora Squad that live in Canada, baby, they get flown out too. So again, back to the original question, how do I get on these trips? It's because I'm invited. And I don't know if any apps are out there where you can, apply for stuff. Again, usually planning for brand trips is a more internal thing with the company, and then they just have a curated list. But what I can give you is advice on how to, be seen and how to get attention of brands. Make sure you're organically tagging them. I always tell people, if you love a brand, the brand should be able to tell. Like one of my favorite brands is K.I.L.E. I love their fragrance. Oh my God, it's just the best. I love Mona. She's the founder and head of K.I.L.E. and I just love her branding. I love all the scents and fragrances she drops, and I just love just the vibe of the brand, the energy. It's just so girly. It's just everything, right? So I'm always tagging them. I'm always shouting them out, and I have been able to do several brand deals with them, several collaborations. So if you want a brand deal or you want to go on a brand trip, you got to start tagging the brand. And it's kind of like, I don't know, you're kind of flirting with them. Like you're kind of, you're trying to show them attention, show them you have interest. You got to tag them, you got to shout them out. You got to talk about why you love the product, talk about it on your story, or even if you're just, getting ready to go somewhere, like let's say it's a get ready with me, or even if you took a picture or something, just tag the fragrance that you wore. Or obviously, if you're doing a get ready with me, you're going to be able to talk through that fragrance or at least show the bottle. If I'm giving like an example, if it's perfume, but I don't know, let's say it's Pretty Little Thing and you're taking a picture and you have a Pretty Little Thing robe on, or you have a Pretty Little Thing dress on, then tag Pretty Little Thing. I feel like sometimes we wait around for the brands to come to us, which can happen. Don't get me wrong. It's happened to me plenty of times, but if you want a brand's attention, you need to communicate with them. And don't worry. I know you may think, well, I don't have a lot of followers. They're not going to see me. Baby, they be paying attention. I'm here to tell you, the brands be watching. They have entire teams, entire departments dedicated to scrolling down social media. So trust me, boo, they're going to see you. Keep tagging them. Just know everybody named mama is tagging these brands. You know what I'm saying? So be patient and make sure you're showing up in their comments, supporting them, follow them. You got to show true, authentic love, because brands be getting a lot of fake love. So make sure you're standing out in a good way. Okay, y'all. The next question I really like. I guess it's kind of personal, but it's also business. So this one says, if you were to start over today, what would be your top 3 priorities to making it? They put making it in quotations. What would be most important? I think this is a really great question. This is Erica Kayla. Thank you, Erica, for asking that. Can I take a second to shout out my Good Girl Tribe? I love how thoughtful these questions are. I love, some of these questions are like paragraphs. They're just very well written, very well thought out, and very intentional. So shout out to my girls. But my Good Girl Tribe is a reflection of me, so I expect nothing less. Okay, so if I had to start over today, and I'm assuming that just means with like life and my brand and everything, I'll talk a little bit more about like brand focus. I would learn how to outsource much sooner and much earlier than I did. Like I'm actually still learning how to outsource now. And what I mean by that is, historically, as women, especially Black women, honey, we don't know when to let go. Like we don't know when to step back and say, you know what, I'm not good at this. This is somebody else's job. Let me get somebody else to do it. Normally, we will beat ourselves down trying to figure something out. Like, honey, if you're not good at email marketing, then go hire somebody to do it. And if you don't have the money to hire somebody right now, go ahead and do the research and figure out how much it costs to hire somebody, or to maybe pay a subscription or something for email marketing so you don't have to do that. Like, get things off of your plate that you have no passion for. Get things off of your plate that you have no desire for. That is the biggest mistake, if not the most important thing. Like the top mistake that I learned. Too late. Well, I don't want to say too late because it's never too late, okay? It's never too late to learn something new. Yeah. But honey, I wasted time. I wasted a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears trying to master everything. And I ended up being like a jack of all trades and a master of none. And I'm still struggling with that to this day. Like, I just got a YouTube editor this year. And even then, I was still trying to hold on to like my other editing skills that I have for like short form content. And one day my husband was just like, why are you doing all this to yourself? Like, why are you pushing yourself to edit every single little thing? If you know that your editor can not only do YouTube vlogs, but they also know how to do Reels, TikTok shorts, and they do it more efficiently than you, quicker than you, like, why are you stressing yourself out? You can just put it in the budget to pay them. And that's exactly what I did. Okay, so that is just one example. And this can apply to literally anything, y'all. It doesn't have to even just apply to business. If there are things in your personal life that you want to get done, like let's say you just want your house to look better. Let's say, I don't know, you want to redo some of the painting on your walls or something, honey. If you have no passion for that, but you tired of seeing your walls looking dingy, go ahead and find somebody else to do it. Learn how to outsource. Learn how to take things off of your plate. That is what the greats do. That is one thing that I feel like successful people do so well. They know how to maximize their time, and baby, we do not. And it's so sad. Like, we are just always trying to handle everything and take the credit for every little thing. And baby, there ain't no extra jewel on your crown for being stressed out and tired when you get to heaven. My grandma used to always tell me, baby, you ain't get no extra jewel for that. Okay? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. We need to start taking these jewels off the crown now. We need to start taking, matter of fact, just take the crown off temporarily, honey. We let me put my wine down. Let me sit up straight so I can say this to you. You gotta learn how to outsource. You gotta learn how to say no to yourself. Because if you listen to self, that's just your ego talking. Your ego wants the credit for doing every little thing. Your ego is telling you, oh, you need to make sure everything is fine, everything is perfect, because that's how you're self-made. You did it all on your own. You take the credit. You get to say you built this. Honey, what good empire do you know was built by one person? That's not even the definition of an empire. That makes absolutely no sense, right? Exactly. So moving forward, that needs to be at the top of your priority list, whether it's in business, your personal life, whatever. Get somebody else to do it. And of course, if you're a content creator, that can be easily said than done, because yes, you know how you like to edit. You know how you like to show up for your audience. I totally understand that. But the amount of time it takes to train somebody to do that, I promise you, you'll get that time back and then some. And then with that time, you can go and make more money for your brand and for your family. You know what I'm saying? So that is number one. Number two, learning how to say no. That is something that I wish I would have learned a lot sooner. And what I mean by that is when you are first coming up on your content journey, or any professional journey that you're on, but for me, it was becoming a content creator. If I had to start all over today, my no would be so strong, capitalized, bold. No, I'm not coming. No, I can't help you. So sorry, I cannot support. I can help you find somebody that will. Maybe not. Like, I stretched myself so thin trying to put my hands in all these baskets and always trying to help and be supportive. And of course, I don't regret that, because I feel like it came back to me tenfold. Like, I feel like God truly blessed me because I always had a heart to help others. But at the same time, how are we gonna be helping everybody and their mama if we can't help ourselves? How are we gonna be stretched so thin trying to help everybody else get their stuff off the ground when our stuff is still on the ground? You have to learn how to say no. You don't need to be everywhere, every event, helping everybody, being in everybody's face. You don't need to do all that. You need to zone in and focus on yourself. Focus on your brand, building your business, and then you can be places, and then you can help people. You have to learn how to say no. Tell yourself no and tell others no. And that's a really hard thing to do, especially when it comes to being a content creator, because you're going to want to go to things. You're going to want to be at every event, and you're going to want to talk to everybody. Well, you might not, but I wanted to just put myself out there. But what I know now is that sometimes you just need to zone in and focus on yourself and learn that a lot of these things you need to block out because they're distractions. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't help others and you can't show up and support others. I'm not saying that. But you need to get very intentional about what you say yes to. You need to get very intentional about what you put on your calendar, honey, because I used to just have an open season. Like, at one point, y'all, I was doing mentorship sessions. I was meeting with people weekly, and then I had like a group session on Zoom where I was pouring into others, and I was barely staying afloat. It wasn't until I got pregnant where I shut all that stuff down because I just physically could not do it. I just didn't have the energy anymore. So I don't want you to get burnt out. Learn how to say no to others and learn how to say no to yourself. There's a lot of things that deep down you're gonna feel like you need to do, but you don't. Sometimes you just need to focus on yourself. And then also learning that sometimes when you are free, it doesn't mean that you need to fill up that free time with being busy. Like resting and knowing that there's an open space on your calendar, sometimes it's there for you to do absolutely nothing, and that's okay. It's there for you to recharge. And then the third thing that I would do if I had to restart my journey over tomorrow, I would remember that if I'm gonna work for myself, I have to be my own boss. And what that means is I have to answer to myself like I am a true boss. And let me tell you, when I first started, I was not doing that. I was a horrible employee. Like I was just working when I felt like it, working off of vibes and energy. And you cannot operate your brand off of vibes. You can't. You need a set schedule, and you need to treat your content or whatever, journey you're on. Again, I became a content creator, but whatever business you're trying to get off the ground, honey, treat it like you're doing right now in your corporate job. Like treat it like you were when you were working in the school system or in that doctor's office or wherever you came from. There was structure. Wherever job you had in the past, honey, they had a real schedule. So what makes you think you can run your brand off of just feelings? No, you need factual schedule. Like you need a whole outline of time, date, location. What are you doing like every minute of the day? Like you need to understand that, because if you don't, you will trade in your 9 to 5 to working 9 to 9, or worse, just working sporadically and not having no rhyme nor reason. And that's how you get burnt out. That's how you end up becoming a jack of all trades and a master of none, because you have no sense of time. You have no sense of responsibility for your brand. You are all over the place. You have to zone in and decide, what is my true schedule going to be? And in moments where things happen, because we know life be life in, what is going to be my pivot plan? Just like in the corporate world, like if you have a schedule 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and for whatever reason you couldn't finish this project on Friday, maybe you got sick, then your boss might expect for you to work through it over the weekend or come back on Monday and have a contingency plan on how to finish. You can't just drop the ball and be like, well, don't feel good today, or well, I want to go out to brunch with my girls, so I'll get to this when I get to it. No, you need to make sure you're running your brand like a true business. So if you don't finish something, what is the plan? What is the game plan to get back on track? If you drop the ball on something, okay, how are we going to spin a block and make sure we do it better the next time? You need to have true strategy and implement it every single day for your brand, or else you're going to have a very expensive hobby. Okay, I feel like I'm over there reading y'all for filth about your business. Let's pivot back to the personal stuff. So someone asked, I noticed you had a puppy before having a baby girl. How did you deal with losing your puppy? I just lost my pup and I'm about to have a baby. So first and foremost, this is for dqueen_27. I am so sorry that you lost your doggy. I just want to give you a big hug right now, because losing a pet is traumatic. Like, I love my dog so much. That was my first child. Here, this is Pumpkin. This was my best friend. Oh, y'all, that was like literally my baby. So Pumpkin was gifted to me by Jeremiah. He gave me Pumpkin for my birthday, Christmas, my birthday, December 16th, is right before Christmas. So it was probably like birthday and Christmas. I just remember he had a bow around his neck, a red bow. So that's how I know it was December. And I remember right after we were by a Christmas tree, we took a picture with him. So I know it was December. But anyway, Pumpkin was just the light of my life. I loved him so much, and it was so extremely hard when he passed away. I've never really talked about it because I don't like to get emotional on camera. It's just not something that I do. Like, I'm not a crier. And when I do cry, I don't cry on the camera. And that's not no shade, because I know some people, they just turn the camera on and cry, child. That's just not me. I feel like when I cry, I want to be around people that, like, I know, that love and care about me. Not that y'all don't love me, because I know y'all do, but you get my point. But yeah, so I didn't talk too much about when he passed. I did post because he was a big part of our family, so I posted about it. And it happened to be literally the same week, well, the week after my daughter was born. So it was just a really tough time for me in that fourth trimester, as we call it. And I was devastated. And my only advice to you will be that you have to take it a day at a time. Like, I just wanted to lay in bed. Honestly, if it wasn't for me just having my daughter, I probably just would have laid in bed forever. Okay, not forever, but I probably would have laid in bed a lot longer. But I had to physically get up, and be a mom. So that's probably what kept me going, and just knowing and having the peace of, sometimes I believe that pets and animals are like sent to us, as they can be like placeholders to teach us, those instincts, especially as women, like those maternal instincts. I feel like, again, he was my first baby. So I learned how to be responsible and keep something alive, you know what I'm saying? Like, for as long as I did with him. Actually sucks because he didn't pass away in our care. He passed away while he was at his babysitter's care. So I felt so just guilty and just devastated, because I'm like, this is my baby, and I shouldn't have let him go to the babysitter. He'd still be alive. I know how to take care of him. I just felt so horrible. I felt a lot of guilt, when ultimately it wasn't my fault. He was not in my care at the time that he passed away. And I had to just deal with learning how to grieve while also not feeling guilty, and while also being excited about the birth of Gigi. So it was just a lot of emotions going on at that time. And if you're watching this right now, D, I want to, again, send you a huge hug, because I can imagine how devastating that is, because I lost my puppy right after I gave birth, but you are about to give birth. I know that your emotions and hormones are all over the place. So again, I want to send you a huge hug, and please take it a day at a time. I don't know the details of how your puppy passed, but I know that your dog loved you, because listen, dogs love us down, okay? It don't matter what's going on. You walk into that house, that dog gonna be wagging their tail and just happy to see you. So, they say all dogs go to heaven. I hope that your doggy is gonna be watching over you and like a guardian angel for your baby, and really live in the memories, like cherish the memories. It took me a while before I could, like how I just showed you pictures of him, it took me a while before I could look at Pumpkin's pictures again. I'm not gonna lie, even now sometimes I get choked up, but I had so many pictures and so many videos. So when you're ready, probably not now, because again, you're pregnant, so I don't want to put that on you, but maybe in the future you can look at pictures of him or her, and think about all the great times that you shared together. Think about all the amazing memories you have. And then one day you can tell your baby, as your baby gets older, you can tell your child about your dog. I can't wait to tell Gigi about Pumpkin. They did get to meet. Here's a picture here. They got to meet right before he passed away. It was literally like a couple of days before he went to the babysitter's house. And even though obviously she's not gonna remember, I love that I have this picture, because one day I can show her and be like, hey, this is like my first baby. But I'm gonna wait until she's a little older to tell her about Pumpkin. But yeah, if you have lost a pet, like I said, I know the grief, I know the trauma, like the feeling behind that. And especially, if you had your dog for a very long time. I didn't have my dog that long before he passed away, but it was long enough where it shattered and broke my heart. So I'm sending you love, not just D who asked me that question, but anybody watching this right now. Take it a day at a time, whether it's been a week or a month or years, you're never going to get over the loss of your dog or any animal, dog, cat, bird, whatever it is. You're never going to get over it, but you will get through it. So again, I'm sending you love. And if you've lost a pet, take a moment in the comments and maybe offer your own advice, especially if you had your pet for a really long time. Any words of advice or encouragement will help. This is a safe space. This is a community, and we all got to support each other. So I hope that my words helped you, and definitely, again, take a moment, read through the comments. Someone else might offer some words of advice too, but remember, take it a day at a time. Whew, that was heavy, y'all. Okay, let's get into our next question. This says, I need marriage advice. When you and your spouse are not seeing eye to eye and it can result in separation, what advice would you have? This is not the route that we want to take for our kids. Well, first and foremost, I want to send you some love, because even though I can't relate to being on a road to separation, I do have empathy for anyone who is going through marital issues or just any serious relationship issues, because I obviously can understand how devastating that can be. And number one, when it comes to not seeing eye to eye, something that my husband and I learned in premarital counseling, and what we're continuing to be reminded in as we are going through our regular counseling, because we still do that to this day, you have to remember that you and your partner are on the same team. And oftentimes when you get into, a disagreement or argument, it turns into someone's on the defense, or both people are just going at it and not realizing, hey, in this moment, although we're not seeing eye to eye, we should both have the common goal. Like, we should both still be trying to compromise to get to a point where we are remembering this is our household and we want what's best for our family. And that has to be your bottom line no matter what the issue is. I mean, whether it's y'all arguing over something with the kids or arguing over money, because I understand finances can be a stress, especially with the economy like this. If you're arguing over, I don't know, who left the toilet seat up, or it doesn't matter. Whatever you're arguing over, you have to remember, even though I'm really upset right now, I want what's best for our family. I know that you do too. And of course, that is easier said than done, baby, because when the argument starts and when you get real heated, nobody wants to be mature and take the higher road, right? I get that. That's another thing I want to point out though. Y'all have to remember that when you are arguing, whether you're a married couple, a serious relationship, whatever, you have to know, and this is something I'm still learning, but you have to know when to walk away. And let's revisit this when we are both level-headed and we are calmed down. Because I'm telling you right now, that will save you a world of heartache. When you are really riled up and upset and angry, you're gonna say some things you don't mean. You're gonna say some things you might regret later, or maybe you do mean them, but it's just time and place. You know, you and your partner are on the same team, so you shouldn't be yelling at each other and going at it to the point where you end up hurting one another. And me and my husband are very guilty of this in our past. Like, we're much better now, but in our past, we used to go at it, like yelling at the top of our lungs, just no one's really listening, just screaming back and forth, and it really gets you nowhere but hurt. And hurt leads to separation. We don't want that. So my first and biggest piece of advice is to make sure that you all are not arguing and going over whatever disagreements while you're both at a heightened, or one of you are at a heightened moment. You all need to know how to stop yourself, have self-control and discipline to say, hey, we're not in a space where we can hear each other right now. We need to revisit this. I am telling you, that is one of the best pieces of advice that our counselors gave us, learning when to just stop and revisit the conversation for later. Because number one, whatever you was mad about, sometimes you don't even be remembering. Like, I don't know what your issues are, sis, or what you're going through in your marriage, but I know for me, a lot of times the next day, 24, 48 hours later, whatever I was upset about, it ain't that serious. Sometimes whatever I was upset about is like the overarching issue, but it's not the root of the issue. And you can't really get to the root of the issue until you're both calm, level-headed, and can hear each other. That cannot happen if you're just screaming. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things I love to do now. I hated it in the beginning because I used to be the person like, no, if something's up, we're gonna talk about it right now. We're gonna address this. We're gonna put it on the table right now. No, I learned the hard way. You're only gonna hurt each other's feelings. You don't want that. So moving forward, try your best to make an agreement between each other that, hey, when things start to feel heated, whether your blood pressure is getting up or mine is, because you know, your heart start beating fast, whether it's both of us or one of us, we have to come to an agreement that we are going to stop and table this for another day, or take a few hours, take a moment, or however much time you need to cool off, cool down, and then come back and revisit the conversation when you are both clear and level-headed. That is number one. Okay, now number two, my other piece of advice for you is learning to get to the root. Back to what I was saying earlier. A lot of times when stuff just builds up, it is little petty things that turn into arguments, but that's not the root of the issue. For example, if my husband left some dishes in the sink or left the cap off the toothpaste, I'm gonna be irritated, right? But I'm not gonna leave him for that. What the root of that is, I feel like he's being inconsiderate. The actions that are manifesting from the inconsideration are coming out as he's leaving the toilet seat up, he's forgetting to make the bed, or he left the cap off the toothpaste. Those are like small little petty things, but the root of it is, hey, I feel like you're not hearing me. I feel like when I told you that I don't like getting up in the middle of the night and falling in the toilet because you forgot to put the seat down, I feel like you don't take me serious when I say that. And I've realized that a lot of times when we get to the root of the issue, usually it's just a misunderstanding. I know a lot of couples, they fight over things like, finances, or hell, down to social media. Couples fight over anything and everything. But I want to encourage you to really think about what the root of the issue is, because the action is usually a manifestation of what the deep root is. And also, my third piece of advice, y'all gotta go to counseling. Y'all have to see your relationship like a really nice, brand new, shiny car, right? Or maybe it's an older car, maybe it's a vintage car. I don't know when you got married, but just look at it as a good car that you want to keep the wheels turning on. You have got to believe in counseling that like that is your tune-up. That is you getting your oil change. Like you don't want to wait until your car breaks down to go and take it to the shop. You know what's gonna happen? You're gonna take it down to the shop and the mechanic is gonna come out and he's gonna give you a long list of a bunch of things that's wrong with it. Meanwhile, you just came in for one little oil change. Meanwhile, you just came to get the windshield wipers fixed and now you find out that your transmission is out. That's what happens when you let things fester and build up in your relationship. You have got to go to counseling and therapy, post-marital counseling, even when you feel like everything is all good. Even when you feel like things are going well. You have to treat counseling and therapy like it is a regular tune-up, regular check-ins. And I understand that therapy can be expensive. I totally understand that. But there are other resources that you can tap into. There are a lot of books that you can read together. You have to find time and work on your marriage like you are, again, working on that well-oiled machine, honey. You want to keep it moving. And one thing that really helped my husband and I is having like a state of the relationship address, kind of like the State of the Union. And we try to do it at least once a quarter, where we sit down and we have an open discussion, no judgment, okay? We vow not to get upset. Both of us can speak our truth, and we have check-ins about everything from finances to our sex life, to, you know, things with our kid, to our goals. Like, did we meet our goals? Are we on track? Like, we talk about everything and we get very transparent. And again, there's no judgment involved. You are allowed to express how you truly feel about anything and everything. And these State of the Union addresses, as we call them, or State of the Relationship meetings, they have truly helped because it lets us know, are we on the right track? Like, are we meeting our goals? Are we on track to hit, you know, like if you work in corporate, there's something called a KPI, a key performance indicator. My husband and I both come from working in tech. So we approach our relationship with like a technical aspect of it. We have to sit down and figure out like, are we on the right track to do everything we said we were gonna do? What are the indicators that we're on the right track to hit our goals? A lot of times, y'all, we're just moving through our marriage or moving through life, moving through our relationship, and we're not even taking the time to analyze it. We're not even taking the time to step back and look at like, what is the data here? And I know that can sound crazy because your relationship is not a full report, but you kind of got to treat it as that. You got to pull the report, pull the receipts, honey. Are we doing what we said we were going to do? Are we honoring our vows? Are we honoring God? Are we keeping God as the nucleus, as the center of our marriage? That's another thing. Like, there are so many issues I feel like come from when a marriage is about to separate. It is a buildup, and it could have been addressed early on. So again, sis, I'm super long-winded, but I don't know how far you are in your marriage journey. I don't know how many years you've been together. I don't know if you're in therapy or you tried it or you considered it, but I'm here to tell you, I believe that your marriage can be salvaged, okay? Unless it's something like super dramatic and traumatic. You know what your deal breakers are. You know, some people, they don't have deal breakers. They gonna ride or die to the end. They gonna love their spouse unconditionally. I believe that your marriage should have conditions. That's just me. I'm not staying around for any and everything, and neither is my husband. We vow to protect and support each other and love each other, but there are conditions, and that's another story for a different day. But for you, I don't know what your boundaries are or what you've put up with or what you've dealt with. I'm not sure. But if it's nothing egregious that you will walk away from, even in your question, you said that this is not ideal. You don't want to just separate because it's not ideal for the kids. If you want to fix your relationship and really work on it, you all need to decide that you are a team and that you're going to come together for a common goal. And you also need to decide that you are going to get serious about therapy and counseling, okay? And if you can't afford that, if your insurance does not cover it, you need to start getting into the relationship self-help books, start looking into resources, start getting serious about meeting with each other, like literally setting up a meeting, not to air each other out and just go in on each other, no, but setting up a State of the Union, you know, address for your marriage and figuring out, how do we get here? Let's outline our problems, but not only that, outline our goals for one another, outline our goals for our household, and start writing down the things that we do love about each other. What are the things that they do that make you smile, and vice versa? I feel like just as much as we talk about the negative, we also need a reminder of the positive. And again, y'all, I'm long-winded, so let me know if you need a whole separate video on that, because clearly I could talk about relationships and conflict resolution and communication skills for days. Like, I could talk about this forever. Whew, okay, y'all. I feel like me being long-winded is getting out of control. I mean, we only did like 3 or 4 questions, but I feel like I gave a whole life story, and I want to make sure that this vlog is not getting too long. So please stay tuned for part 2. I'm gonna finish the rest of these questions, and also let me know in the comments, would you like to make this maybe a weekly segment where we do like a girl chat, girl talk, and I just do a simple Q&A? Let me know if you're interested in that, because I don't really know. Sometimes I feel like I need to focus on style content. Maybe I should show more of the stuff I do with brands. I kind of be all over the place sometimes. So let me know in the comments what you want to see more of, and if you can see this girl talk Q&A being like a weekly thing or maybe a bi-weekly thing, let me know in the comments, because I would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for joining. Make sure you are following me over on Instagram. Here's my handle here, TikTok here. Make sure you are shopping my personal closet from Poshmark. Here's the QR code. This is where I sell gently used items and a lot of brand new items, things that I get from brands and gifts, and also things that maybe I've worn for a campaign. I didn't need it anymore. I'm trying to clear out my closet, you know, before the new year. Make sure you shop my Poshmark. And then for all of my looks, things that you see me wear, things that you see me out and about in, make sure you're shopping my LTK. This is here. This is where I link everything, honey, from clothes, shoes, accessories, things in the home, honey. You can find all of that here on LTK. And again, y'all, make sure you're subscribed to my channel right here on YouTube. And until next time, cheers, good night.